तस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साक्षात् सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् आचार्यद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्तांश्च विष्णुपाद कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे नमो महापुण्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरवाणी नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत गोपते तप्त कांत गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री सती हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण. Okay, so take it, we'll start. So where were we last time? वहाँ बैठे रिकॉर्ड में. कहाँ थे हम लास्ट टाइम? किसी को याद? आई थिंक लास्ट वीक था. लास्ट वीक. हाँ, भद्रपुर में. कहाँ थे? 2.16. 16 हो गया. हाँ, 15 और 16 ये हो गया. ठीक. तो क्विकली रिकैप करेंगे. ठीक है कि 2.15 में क्या था. तो 2.15 में भगवान बताते हैं कि अगेन 2.14 में डुअलिटी, इट्स अ वर्ल्ड ऑफ डुअलिटी के बारे में बताते हैं. तो 2.15 में भगवान लॉर्ड ही टेल्स अस कि हाउ टू how to work upon this matter duality, how to live in the world of this duality. Right, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Right, so he tells कि what is the way to achieve liberation. Right, so we saw in the purport one example was given of Lord Chaitanya. Ki Lord Chaitanya, when he was 24 years old, he took sannyas. Right, because he took sannyas for a higher purpose. Right, he left his wife Vishnu Priya. He left his mother, and like there was no one to take care of both of them. But then he realized that if he is in Grihastha ashram, although Lord Chaitanya's movement was getting uh, quite popular and famous across Navadvip, Bengal, and even Puri Jagannath, it was growing considerably. But then there were some Orthodox Brahmin at that time who were objective of these things, right? So he realized that even after defeating them in Shastrat, he realized that if he is a Grihast, there is no one who is going to listen to him, right? So if we want to spread Krishna Prem across the world, then the only way is to do sannyas. Because people think, मतलब जब आप देखते हो कि someone is wearing some saffron, automatically we are like more respect for them, right? That respect people are not giving to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he was Lord Krishna himself, right? So for the higher cause, he took sannyas. So the lesson for us, like, and also like from the verse, that Krishna is also telling to Arjuna that this is the higher cause, what you have to think. Don't think on the bodily platform, but think of a higher cause. You are a Kshatri, right? And being a Kshatri, do your duty, right? So Lord Chaitanya's example is also given in the same context, how he took sannyas for the higher purpose, right? Then again, what we discussed, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. Then this is the lesson for us, like What is the purpose? What is the higher purpose for us? Right, we discussed that. याद है? Anyone remembers? क्या था? What is the prescribed duty for us? Like it was for Arjuna and the duty which Lord Chaitanya took on himself. So what is prescribed duty for us? There will be problems, obstacle in life, right? आपके मम्मी पापा दोस्त रिश्तेदार एवरीवन क्या हो गया सब ठीक है ना मतलब क्यों इतने पूजा पाठ अभी से क्यों कर रहे हो right they'll be all behind you but then what is the prescribed duty for us hmm? What serve the Lord okay correct right and to to keep chanting serve the Lord so chanting is also by the way is serving the Lord anyone knows right everyone knows that how are we serving the Lord by chanting तो उससे लॉर्ड सर्व कैसे होगा सर्विंग द लॉर्ड का मतलब क्या होता है थोड़ा सा एक बार लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय सर्विंग द लॉर्ड like only when there is a congregation we do some services that serving the Lord that's it क्या मतलब what do you think like serving the Lord means
Which gives pleasure to the Lord. For doing action which gives pleasure to Him.
okay so huh? Huh? Sorry? Sacrificing or surrendering yourself to the Lord but how you are serving the Lord मतलब ये सब थ्योरी है right you say sacrificing myself to the Lord serving the Lord for the pleasure of Lord have you ever seen Krishna being happy when we chant Krishna's name or पहले तो हमने sacrifice तो किया नहीं है but even if we sacrifice how would we know he is being happy right so on practical level what does serving the Lord means not theory let's forget about the theory अगर हम practically वो करें तो what does serving the Lord means okay so serving our soul with the mantra तो आप सर्विंग द लॉर्ड पे तो नहीं आप तो लेट्स सर्व माय सेल्फ योर सोल अगेन you are not your body anyway you are soul so first of all you realize that you're serving your soul means you are serving yourself right because you are not the body you are the soul you are serving yourself so आप तो एक लेवल और नीचे आप आ गए right क्या सर्विंग द लॉर्ड की बात हो रही है सर्विंग you don't have to take name for Lord right to serve yourself go enjoy have fun it's a whole wide world to have all the kind of enjoyment maya right mantra itself हरे ओके अगेन यहाँ पे हम बहुत ज्यादा थ्योरी फंसे हुए तो लेट मी गिव यू रियल मीनिंग और मतलब यू ऑल आर करेक्ट राइट बट थोड़ा सा हायर है राइट द रियल मीनिंग ऑफ सर्विंग द लॉर्ड मीन्स व्हेन वी यूटिलाइज ऑल आवर सेंसेस इन द सर्विस ऑफ द लॉर्ड राइट तो अगर आप सेवा कर रहे हैं आप प्रसादम वितरण कर रहे हैं ठीक है प्रसादम बना रहे हैं दैट इज लाइक यू आर यूटिलाइजिंग योर हैंड्स योर बॉडी इन मेकिंग प्रसादम राइट हाउ कैन यू सर्व द लॉर्ड बाय योर टंग दैट्स आल्सो वन ऑफ द सेंस by doing krishna katha by chanting so when you utilize all your senses in the service of krishna that means serving the lord right everything comes after that मतलब जब हम उससे शुरू करते हैं तो all what you are saying is correct these all will follow right these all will come pleasure soul will be happy if we serve the Lord right otherwise soul के happiness we don't know right हम तो happy हो रहे soul happy है कि नहीं क्या पता right तो only one person can make soul happy really eternal happiness not the क्षणिक खुशी not the momentary happiness so that's the only way so serving the Lord means so when we say chanting means we are also serving the Lord that is a prescribed duty for us right क्योंकि out of all of our senses the most difficult one to actually control no your tongue even more difficult from mine right because it serves multiple purpose right what all things you do with tongue eat or सो भी जाते हो
Eat and speak.
speed right हाँ two most dangerous things right and you speak harsh, then you get a hit. Your body will be gone in different way. Right? So actually, if you are able to control your tongue, you'll be able to control your mind. It's very easy. But first level itself we are not able to do. Controlling our tongue itself is very difficult. So that practice starts not directly from the mind, from the tongue. We say ना मतलब जैसे बहुत सारी कहावतें हमने सुनी है. Always think before you speak. कर नहीं पाते हम, but it is all about controlling the tongue. Right. कहीं भी भले कितने भी डायबिटीज और रसगुल्ला है, अरे यार आज चीट डे. Right. हाँ. So controlling tongue is very difficult. So, but that's the verdict of all the shastra, right? To do the chanting of Hare Krishna. Then 2.16, we discussed about Sat Asat, right? And this is what we discussed. This is one of the most misunderstood words, right? So the Mayavadi, they take the word Sat Asat means Satya and Mithya, right? Sat matlab Satya, Asat matlab Mithya. So say, because this verse says that na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Right. Those the seers of truth have concluded that the non-existent thing of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the eternal there is no change. That's why in the full bracket it's written, do not get confused. Non-existence means the material body. Not like the whole jagat is mithya and एक ब्रह्मन ही सत्य है, ब्रह्म सत्यम जगत मिथ्या. Not that. It means that this body, this material things are non-existent. Non-existent means it does not mean it does not exist. It means that it is temporary. It is existing now. It is real in front of you, but it will not be permanent. Right. So when you see on the scale of gods, our time is like some milliseconds actually. जब हम वैकुंठ से हम आए, for desires we fell down, we came to earth. When we go back, we'll feel that just a moment is past. Even after we have spent millions of years here, right? It is just a moment in there, right? So in that sense, and also because it's temporary. So non-existence here means temporary, right? So our material body is temporary, and it has no endurance, while the soul is eternal, right? And there is no change. So this is the conclusion by studying the nature of both. So the seers of truth, the Tattvadarshi. So here it's written Tattvadarshi being. So Tattvadarshi who have studied both types of Tattva, they have concluded, all of them have concluded. Take any philosophy actually, right? Whether it's a Sakar, Brahma, Nirakar, Brahma, Mayavadi, this and that, whatever philosophy you take, everyone agrees to this point that soul is eternal, body is temporary. Right? There is no doubt on that front. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says that. Okay, someone who has knowledge of both, they say this. So yeah, same thing is mentioned here. Keep personalist and personalist both agree to this particular point. And two types of nature. So how do we get the body? Right, there is a spiritual and material, two types of nature are there. And what is the way that we get the body is like we discussed that key based on our karma, it may be we are going to get the spiritual body or we are going to get the material body, right, based on our karma. So yeah, so in next slide we try to touch upon like how we can explain non-existent this world here in this particular world. So it is like cloud comes, pours the rain, gets finished. You cannot say cloud does not exist. It does exist, right? It serves its purpose and it goes away, right? The body is like that. It does exist. It is real. Till the point it is there. After that, it's gone. Your soul moves on. Same like the cloud. Right? Then here also, like some more example we took, okay, how we can explain this existent, non-existent. So we all have heard this Brahmakaranya Upanishad. Just what a time. माता जी मेघा बोलती थी कैसा बाहर ठीक So asato ma satgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityu ma amritgamay. Right? Om Shanti Shanti. So here it is very clearly mentioned. Lead us from the unreality, right, of the transitory existence to the reality that is eternal self. Right? Lead us from the darkness to the light. Lead us from the fear of death to the knowledge of immortality. So here also it is mentioned about Sat and Asat. So same example. So in this particular slide we saw that like we see the dream, right? In dream we realize we when we are chased by lion or by ghost or think of any dream which you saw yesterday or today, right? It looks all the real, right? You don't feel that we are in the dream. You're like, yes, मेरे साथ ही सब कुछ हो रहा है. If we are falling, if we are riding the bike or doing whatever, right? It all feels यही तो मतलब this is reality. But then you woke up, at the moment it's completely gone. Then you realize अरे कुछ नहीं था, right? भाग दौड़ा रहा था, भाग रहे थे, एकदम दर पसीना छूट रहा है. किसी ने अरे अरे क्या हुआ? हाँ, thank God बच गए. नहीं तब तक तो खा ही जाता. Right. So the world is kind of like that. Like it feels real when we are here. Because it is real. Till we are in this body, it is real. Right. Like when you're in dream, it's real. अगर आपको ड्रीम में बाल काटेगा तो आप ये नहीं कहो अरे मैं तो ड्रीम को काटो काटो थोड़ा ये वाले हाथ भी ले लो. You don't say that. ठीक. You'll still run away. So till you are here, it is real. And but again temporary, like the dream. So the actual illusion is our inability to see things in connection of Krishna. So when we say talk about illusion, it's not the Jagat is illusion, the world is illusion. But the actual illusion is when we see all the things that it's not related to Krishna. That is the real illusion. Not saying just by saying the world is illusion, this and that. It does not serve the purpose. If we keep on saying Brahma Jagat Sat, Brahma Satya, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, कुछ नहीं होगा. यहीं पे रहना है, खाना है, पीना है. You have to live your life here. ठीक. Just because I stop saying Brahma Jagat, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya and stop eating, क्या होगा? Right? We will only suffer. Then पता चलेगा कितना मिथ्या. Right? We'll realize at that point of time. So it's like we have to see that everything is actually connected to Krishna. That is the process of bhakti. The process of bhakti removes that illusion. That and it tells us, it teaches us that everything is related to Krishna, right? Not the bodily relations and illusions. So in this verse, which is one of the Chatusloki Bhagavatam, we also saw the same thing. Ki, O Brahma, whatever appears of any value, if it is without a relation to me, it has no reality. Right? Know that it is my illusory energy that reflects which appears in the darkness. So Lord Krishna also says here to Lord Brahma that if it is not related to me, same thing it tells. If it is not related to me, it has zero value. Right? So material things, if it is not in relation to Krishna, if this laptop I am using for class, right, it is actually spiritual object. But if the same laptop I'm using for watching the Amazon TV series and this and that, only that, for all material enjoyment, then it's not. Then it's a useless sum. It has zero value, right? Spiritually. So that's what Lord says. So we discussed pitfall of ignorance is also what are the pitfalls if we are ignorant. Then two important solutions were given. One to reestablish our relationship with Krishna, and how we can relate again the same thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Right. So later on we discussed the Krishna's energy. That there are three types of energy: internal energy, external energy, and marginal energy. So internal energy is nothing but the spiritual energy, Radharani, right, which is the superior most. Then external energy is the material world, which is under control of Maya Devi, right? And then there is a third thing which is called marginal energy, which is nothing but Tatast Shakti, right? Now, this is superior. So we discussed why marginal energy is superior to you. Sorry, no, Maya Devi, right? When we are under influence of Maya Devi. So what was the answer? Anyone remembers? Why? If marginal energy is superior to external energy, how we are under influence of Maya? That was the question. Do we have to? आप प्रभु जी अगर आप भगवान भगवान के पास भी फ्रीडम ऑफ चॉइस है राइट अगर हम सुपीरियर है व्हाई वी आर इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय माया व्हिच इज इंफीरियर एनर्जी हाँ we are very in we are very small in quality so we discussed the example of sun right cloud sun बहुत बड़ा है अर्थ जैसे आई थिंक कितने प्लैनेट सन में आ सकते हैं हाँ मतलब some thousands I think 15 या 27,000 राइट नॉट मिलियंस राइट अर्थ जैसे इतने thousands of planet अर्थ सन में आ सकते हैं and cloud is a very small part of even earth ecosystem earth's atmosphere but when cloud comes it actually covers the sun and then उनका sun छुप गया but cloud की क्या औकात है sun को छुपाने की right it cannot right but still it can do because when we say our vision right is so small that our sun looks so small to us that a cloud can also cover same is Maya Devi even though we are qualitatively think by quality we are superior energy but we are so small in quantity that the Maya Devi being such a large entity it can actually influence us or cover us that is the reason we are under influence of Maya Devi right and we discussed in Sveteswar Upanishad that Supreme Lord has nothing to do and no one is found to be equal or greater to him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. So again about energies, right? And at last we discussed what is the purpose of reading this Bhagavad Gita, right? So we discuss about all the energy. Then the purpose of reading the Bhagavad Gita is not to gain the knowledge, right? कि ज्ञानी नहीं बनना है, बल्कि to drive away this ignorance, which came by this particular illusion, right? And to apply Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Bhagavad Gita in our life, and enlightenment of all living entities at all the times, right? So that is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Any question? Think. Think we will go next. All right. Repeat. Correct. Bhagavad Gita 2.17. अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य न किश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुम् अर्हति anyone from Prabhupada अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वम् इदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुम् अर्हति मतलब अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वम् इदं ततं विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुम् न कश्चित् कर्तुम् अर्हति So translation by His Holy His the Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada कहते हैं, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Right. So till now Krishna is talking about indirectly about soul. कि एक चीज है जो मतलब for something, right? Something which is eternal, right? Indirectly, he's talking about soul. Now he's going to talk about soul, a quality of soul, and further on he'll go directly. like what is about soul. So he's going to explain the nature of soul in this verse. Right. So what is the difference between? So here some important words came here. Avinasi, right? Avinasi means जिसका विनाश नहीं होता, indestructible, right? And indestructible. So he tells that which and also yen sarvam idam pratam, which pervades the whole body, right? So soul is there and it pervades the whole body. It is spread. What does it mean? Does it mean the soul is spread all across the body? What does this mean? Pervades the whole body. क्या आपको लगता है? Rules the whole body. Okay. So a king rules the whole kingdom, but we don't say king pervades the whole kingdom. Yes, even though it rules the whole kingdom. But what does that mean? Does king pervades the whole kingdom? In a way, you can say that because king's agents are everywhere across the kingdom. Kings, whatever king says that it will be spread across, it is going across the kingdom. So in a way, you can say that, right? So that is one of the example of pervasion. What does pervades mean? मतलब आप इससे सोच सकते हैं एक्टिवेट करना ओके कंट्रोल करना हाँ रूल कंट्रोल एक्टिवेट और क्या कॉन्शियस हाँ व्हाट इज कॉन्शियसनेस चित सो हमने डिवाइस में मतलब जिसने भी अटेंड किया है आई गेस लगभग सबने अटेंड किया व्हाट इज कॉन्शियसनेस किसी को याद है काफी पहले एक साल पहले होगा और मे बी मोर हाँ मे बी मोर किसी को कुछ भी याद है कॉन्शियसनेस व्हाट इज कॉन्शियसनेस हाउ यू डिफाइन समवन एज कॉन्शियस एक्टिंग एक्टिव रहता है if I'll make this phone switch on and I will change the setting to never turn off the display, it will be active all the time. Is it conscious? Or if I'll keep on, if I switch on the TV all the time, it is active. The consciousness क्या है प्रभु जी? How you define something is conscious?
Quality is nothing.
Okay. No, but that you are saying about something, right? But how you say something is conscious? If that something knows fully about everything, then we can say AI is conscious. Well, हमसे तो ज़्यादा ही जानता है. Right. If we are conscious, then AI is super conscious then, in that case. तो नोइंग तो एक क्राइटेरिया नहीं हो सकता या कोई एक बंदा है जिसको लिटरली कुछ नहीं आता है महामूड है वो ठीक बस वो खाता है सोता है बट स्टिल इज कॉन्शियस इवन दो ही नोज और डज नॉट नो एनीथिंग तो नोइंग तो क्राइटेरिया नहीं हो सकता फीलिंग द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ इटसेल्फ वन वे यू कैन एक्चुअली से दैट व्हाट एल्स व्हाट एल्स
एक्सटर्नली एनर्जी देने का जरूरत नहीं है जैसे इसमें
कई बार प्रभु जी क्लास में बुलाने के लिए एक्सटर्नली बुलाना पड़ता है अरे आओ 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 क्या प्रभु जी प्रभु जी कैन टेस्टिफाई दैट एक्सटर्नल एनर्जी कई बार किक की जरूरत पड़ती है ठीक है तो कॉन्शियसनेस थोड़े कुछ तरीके हैं जैसे कॉन्शियसनेस डिफाइन कर सकते हैं समथिंग विच हैज इंटेंशन विलिंगनेस जैसे एक गाड़ी भी है चलती है सड़क पे एक बैलगाड़ी भी एक बैल भी है चलता है सड़क पे ठीक गाड़ी है थकी वो थकती नहीं है राइट पेट्रोल खत्म होगा पेट्रोल डालोगे फिर चलेगी बैल थकेगा 4 लाख मारो फिर भी नहीं चलेगा इट हैज विलिंगनेस आई वांट टू डू और आई डोंट वांट टू डू इंटेंशन होता है राइट इट वांट्स टू नो थिंग्स बाय हिमसेल्फ और देमसेल्फ राइट सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स व्हिच यू कैन डिफाइन कॉन्शियसनेस मतलब एक आप जो बोल रहे हो वो भी सही है ठीक आप लोगों ने जो बोला वो भी सही है बट main one very important thing to define consciousness is willingness and intention राइट उसमें एक इंटेंशनैलिटी और विलिंगनेस होती है देन यू कैन डिफाइन समथिंग विच इज एज कॉन्शियस ठीक उसमें ग्रोथ होता है अपने आप राइट यू कैन नॉट से कि कोई कोई मतलब नॉन लिविंग ऑब्जेक्ट अपने आप बड़ा नहीं होते जाएगा ठीक इट फॉलोज कोई लिविंग ऑब्जेक्ट और कॉन्शियसनेस इज ओनली इन लिविंग ऑब्जेक्ट राइट एक लिविंग ऑब्जेक्ट में 6 फेजेस भी होते हैं वो पैदा होगा वो बड़ा होगा वो बुढ़ा होगा मरेगा मतलब ये ऐसे बीच के भी रिप्रोडक्शन बीच में राइट दीज ऑल फेजेस which possess so consciousness can be defined with all these things right so here lord is saying that about something which is indestructible so this certain that he is not talking about the body here because body will be destroyed right and it will be perishable आदमी मरता है 4 घंटे में उसको राम नाम सत्य है करके जितनी जल्दी से निपटाना है निपटाओ यही करते हैं ना या फिर मे भी एक दिन वेट कर लेंगे कि भैया कनाडा से आ रहा है या जहां से भी राइट बट नो वन कीप्स मोर देन अ डे और टू अनलेस दे आर इन मॉर्चरी और उसकी कुछ और कर राइट सो दैट्स व्हाट इट है बिकॉज इट विल स्टार्ट डिकम्पोजिंग right so it is perishable so here krishna is certainly not talking about something which is material he's talking about something which is eternal and what is that something soul right and we are talking about consciousness what is the source of consciousness soul is the source of consciousness correct we all know that so here, with that which pervades the entire body, you should know, you should know to be indestructible. Now, let us understand what does it mean by pervasion. Like sun is there, right? Sun is there at one place in the middle of the solar system, but its rays goes all across the solar system or even after. Right, it goes everywhere. Sun does not have to go everywhere. Sun does not have to be present everywhere in the solar system. But by its energies, by its rays, it pervades the whole solar system. This is how Atma pervades the whole body by its energy. And what is the Atma's energy which pervades the whole body? हम उसको डिस्कस कर रहे हैं काफी देर से consciousness right the consciousness is the one which pervades the whole body right and the consciousness is originated from the atma right? So Megha, okay. ठीक तो same way we see the example of a battery appliance or any electrical appliance right the source of um, the source of energy for any appliance is that power point right जैसे लैपटॉप में ये चार्जिंग पॉइंट that is the source but then it is pervading across all the system inside this laptop right वो मॉनिटर भी चला रहा है वो कीबोर्ड भी चला रहा है जो अंदर सीपीयू है वो भी चल रहा है right everything is running because of one single little source right electric source का point तो एक ही है same way आत्मा right atma is sitting somewhere in the body we'll discuss that where right atma is sitting somewhere in the body but through its energy which is nothing but consciousness it is pervading the whole body it goes everywhere and our whole system works because of this it's very motivation right it goes all across the body so those two examples by that we can understand how atma pervades the whole body prabhuji मतलब english is okay oh, perfect right so and that's how soul empowers the whole body like you're saying ruling and controlling the body right that is empowering the body how because it rules the body from sitting somewhere now where does the soul sit before we go to that right we're giving example of battery or power source so there's one difference right the analogy ends here that like energy or like battery runs the whole appliance or the charging point runs the whole laptop but then again अभी अभी बैटरी कम का वो आया था मुझे ठीक है कि बैटरी लो आई हैड टू पुट द चार्जर right you don't have to do with the atma but the body right? That is something with the analogy ends here The soul is eternal supplier of consciousness. Right? It goes all across. Right? उसके लिए हमें मतलब it's eternal. That's where the analogy is. Right? So it is like that power source which runs the whole body. Right? Now, so till here that there is something which runs the whole body, right? And that's in the body. Till here, even material scientists they agree with this fact. कि there is something in the body. They don't say that कि नहीं body तो ऐसे ही reaction से चल रहा है chemical reaction because that does not happen. Right? अगर body chemical reaction से ही चलता, then I'll give you all the chemical. चलो चला दो body. Or maybe whatever chemical reaction is gone, someone dies, you put that chemical again and run the body. That does not happen. Right? It does not run by the chemical reaction. Right? It runs by the soul. Now, material scientists agree till before the soul level that there is something which creates consciousness and it goes across the body, it runs the soul. What they don't understand about the soul, like what is the source of this consciousness, right? And that's where spirituality comes, right? Where material science ends, where materialism ends, the spirituality takes over. What is spirituality? The study of spirit. Spirit is soul, right? Without concept of soul, we cannot. So that's why when we started Discover Yourself, the first session itself was the soul. Know about the soul. Matlab, know yourself. So, know about the soul means know yourself. Because we are not the body, we are the soul. So, first of all, we need to understand that. So, yeah. Now, one very interesting example. Ki someone can say that ki, no, how can you say that there is something which runs the body, consciousness, and this and that? I think brain is the most important part of the body, and then it runs the soul and all. Like if you ask 10 people what is the most important part of the body, what would be the answer? Brain? What else? Stomach? Okay. मतलब तो मुझे को भूख लगी है. He is hungry. Heart. Heart. Not brain. The most important means you have to give one answer. That's heart. It is the most important part of the body. Because we have seen brain dead people also. They are still not dead. They are not declared dead. Right? They are dead, brain dead. But still their heart keeps on running. So I put this. This is the left hand side. What you are saying is the person who is brain dead. There is zero activity happening in the brain, right? But right hand side, what you are saying, their heart activity, the cardiogram, right? The ECG, what we call it. The ECG, you can see that there is activity somewhere. The pump, heart is still pumping the blood into the body. The way, like, ठीक. So even though when a person is brain dead, his heart still works. What does it prove? That heart is the most important part of the body, not the brain. Right. Someone can argue a lot of things. It's a brain which does this and that and that. But no, if heart stops, forget about brain. Right? Nothing works. We hardly hear about the brain. Well, we hear about a brain hemorrhage and all those things, but we hardly hear about brain stroke. But heart stroke, आजकल तो हर हफ्ते एक सौ सुनने में आ ही जाता है. कहीं कहीं. Right. So when the heart stops, the person actually becomes dead. And how does heart spread the consciousness in the body? What does heart do? Our biology की class है. Pumps the blood, right? Through the blood only we get the consciousness in the body. And wherever we don't have blood, we actually are not conscious there. Some examples? Huh? Hair, nails, right? Exactly. Or that's where I was coming to. अगर आप हाथ में rubber band, you just put a rubber band and stick it tightly, right? After some point, your blood supply will stop and you'll feel numb. Consciousness goes away. Even though your nerves are there, nerves are nothing but extension of brain. So nerves are there, but you don't feel anything. Consciousness goes away from them. That itself proves the heart is the most important part of the body. And because heart is the most important part of the body, right? So that's the place where the soul lives, right? Within the heart, not as a covering. Now we'll come to that also. Okay. where does soul, मतलब where does it lives in the heart, some part of the heart, but it cannot cover the heart. I will discuss why. Now there can be a question like if heart is most important, soul lives in the heart, तो फिर जिसका heart transplant होता है, then what happens to them? Huh? You are about to ask? ठीक है. So maybe अंतर्यामी हो गया. Right. So what happens to them? What do you think? What will happen? दूसरे का soul इसमें आ गया. Because it lives in the heart. क्या लग सकता है? मतलब बोल सकते हैं it's a two-way session, it's not a one-way session.
Doctors also said it is like there's some behavioral changes in that person. But मान लीजिए अगर आपकी कभी गुस्सा नहीं आता, right? Like all of a sudden, at times you will show some small signals or traits of this.
So what does it prove? His soul changes. Huh? Did you start calling the person a different name? पहले उनका नाम था मुकुंद चंद, अब आप उनको रसगुल्ला चंद बोलने लगे. ऐसा हुआ क्या? मतलब you still अभी आधार कार्ड उसका सेम था, ठीक, even though heart changes, उसकी आइडेंटिटी सेम थी, उसकी कंपनी ने भी उसको सेम आईडी ही दी, हाँ तुम ही हो वो जो आके करेगा. एवरीथिंग रिमेन सेम, राइट? इट्स लाइक अ कार. आज मैं अपनी कार चला रहा हूँ, प्रभु जी कहेंगे प्रभु जी एक काम करें मेरी कार से ये कराइए, राइट? Even if I change the car, it does not mean the driver is changed. So when heart is what? Heart is nothing but external appearance. The soul is the driver. So when heart changes, it's nothing but change of a car. Like we change our clothes. We don't change ourselves when we change our clothes. So heart is that part. So actually behavioral changes जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, I don't know how true it is. Right, but yes, one thing is certain, soul does not change. Right, soul remains same. It may be because of hormonal changes or other a lot of other things. कई बार आपका a lot of time what happens, मतलब what I can think of कि everyone's heart is at different level wear and tear wise, right? हो सकता है उनका हार्ट उस कैपेसिटी से ब्लड पंप ना कर पाए, और जहाँ पे ब्लड पंप थोड़ा कम होता है, आप जानते हैं हाइपरटेंशन, गुस्सा, चिड़चिड़ापन, ये बढ़ता घटता रहता है. It could be that reason, but purely material reason. Your soul does not change, right? Even if your heart changes.
But जब किसी एग्जाम्पल transplant होता है किसी और का हार्ट जाके रखते हैं, like so in that case like is the soul also will not come.
No, Prabhuji, it just changes the seat. Like I told you, like I'm in my car today, I'm sitting in Prabhuji's car tomorrow. Like it's just a change of driver. But sorry, it's just a change of the car for driver. So soul is the driver, heart is the casing. Right? If I'm putting this laptop in one bag today, Dell bag, कल को मेरा बैग फट गया, if I'm putting into another bag, Lenovo के बैग में, लैपटॉप सेम रहेगा, राइट? बैग चेंज हो रहा है. तो हार्ट इज नथिंग बट अ केसिंग फॉर द soul, right? But soul does not change. That's very important point. Now how can we identify, like how can we decide soul क्या, मतलब क्या अंदर रहता है कि बाहर रहता है, what does it do, right? So Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, right, कि this verse clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is the consciousness. We already discussed this. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. We'll discuss that later. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body, right? And the soul is described as 1/10,000 part of the upper portion of the soul. मतलब you take your hair, you divide into 100 parts, or the tip of the hair, not the hair. Tip of the hair you divide into 100 parts. I cannot imagine, but हाँ आप कुछ सोच सकते हैं, मतलब somewhere it would be. And then take one part and again you divide into 100 parts. That is actually the size of the soul. And not only in our body, but in every body. Even you take blue whale, which is 50 meters in length, even that blue whale will have this 1/10,000 part of the hair tip. That is the size of the soul. That small soul runs the whole soul in the whole body. Right? And because it's that small, obviously it cannot cover the heart. Right? It has to live somewhere in the heart, right? And this is our how we can say, like, who defines the size of the soul. Sveteswar Sveteswar Svetaswar Upanishad says that this particular point, when the upper point of hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each such part is divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Srimad Bhagavatam also says the same thing. There are innumerable particles of the spiritual atom, which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. That innumerable particles of the spiritual atoms are, what are those? What are those? Jogans? Of what? Lord. And what are those? Souls. Right? That is the soul. Here, the talk is about the soul. Bhagavatam says the soul ka size. Svetaswar Upanishad also says the same. So that soul is that small. मतलब it cannot be even imagined. मैं नहीं सोच सकता एक बाल की टिप को ठीक 100 parts में divide करना and then उसको फिर से 100 parts में again we have to divide. Right? It's unthinkable for us. Right? And remember this point, because this point will be used later. Now, now the point mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada is, anyone can understood that everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasure of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. So our consciousness is limited for us only. I cannot understand what you are thinking and what is your consciousness. You cannot understand what is Prabhuji's consciousness or anyone's. Our consciousness is only and only limited within our body. And not only in our body, last time also we discussed. Even in our body, it is very limited. We can understand, okay, if I'm doing this, there might be some pain or something like that. I cannot understand how this pain receptor is taking this signal to the brain. I can only understand the last point. पेन हो रहा है ठीक या खाना खाया एनर्जी मिल गई आई एम फीलिंग एनर्जेटिक how this molecule went into the body, what chemical reactions happened in the stomach, acid से reaction हुआ, फिर then it went into intestine, base से reaction हुआ, then it goes into different atoms, क्या क्या बना कैसे हुआ ठीक. We don't realize that we are not conscious about these things. We are conscious about okay खाना खाया एनर्जी मिल गई, we are happy, that's it. So even in our own body, first of all we are conscious about our own body. I cannot understand your pain. Right, that's what we say, right? कि I know, मतलब I cannot. जब हम किसी को console करते हैं, I know this is a, मतलब I'm not in your shoes, so I cannot understand your pain. But this is true actually. We cannot, right? We can only understand our pain. But even in our body, our consciousness is very limited, right? We only see the end result of it, not really what happens in between. So when a Lord says that yen sarvamidam tata, right here in the verse. Yen sarvam idam tatam. Right? That which pervades the entire body. So we have to understand that Lord is talking about the soul. Right? And going further, how we can understand this particular point is, so in Bhagavad Gita 13.3, one line comes, Kshetragyam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetresu bharata. Means, O Scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am the knower of all bodies. This is what Lord says that. I am the knower of all bodies. Right? And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned there, I am the knower of the fields of activities in the every individual being, in every individual body. The individual may be knower of his own body, but he is not in knowledge of other bodies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as the super soul in all bodies, knows everything about all bodies. Now, this is very important point mentioned here. We are talking about consciousness here, right? And we understand that we can only understand a little bit our consciousness in our own body, not anyone else's consciousness. Now, in this word क्षेत्रज्ञ मतलब knower of the क्षेत्र. क्षेत्र मतलब पता है हिंदी में क्षेत्र मतलब क्या होता है? Area, field, right? क्षेत्र मतलब field होता है. And this body is actually described as the field. If you own a field, खेत अगर आपके पास होता है, then you are the farmer, let's say, you are the person who knows all in and out कि यहाँ पे ये पेड़ लगाए, यहाँ पे ये मेड़ जाती है, यहाँ पे पानी का सोर्स है, you know everything about that, right? Same way the soul is in this body which is Kshetra, and it knows things about the body, right, in a limited way, but it knows things about the body. मुझे पता है कि मेरा हाथ है, मेरा पैर है या नहीं है, ठीक है, क्या मैं कितना खा सकता हूँ, क्या नहीं खा सकता हूँ, these all things the soul knows. When we say the soul, मतलब it's a, we means the soul, right? It knows, but we don't know about other bodies, everyone else's body, right, and all those things. But what Lord says here is, you should understand that I am knower of all bodies. So we are here talking about consciousness. You might have heard in your life sometime कि we are conscious, we are all conscious souls, and because we have forgotten our आराम से बैठ जाइए प्रभु जी, वो लगा लीजिए पीछे. We are conscious person. So once we realize about our real identity, that we are the soul, we are the Brahman, that's what Mayavad theory says, that time we'll become super conscious. This is a very misleading point. What Lord says here, there's only one. I am also the knower or in all bodies. अभी अभी हमने डिस्कस किया, there is a consciousness, there is a soul in all body which knows all body. What Lord said, I am also the knower in all bodies. What does it say? No, I am also the knower in all the bodies. In what does it say? There is someone else also in all bodies. It's not just the soul, right? Paramatma. So not just your Atma is there. There is a Paramatma also in your soul, which actually drives the soul. But Atma does not realize it. How we can understand that? Now we are discussing example of a car. हम कार चलाते तो लगता है अरे हम ही तो मालिक है, थार चला रहे आज तो. अगर इफ यू आर फ्रॉम दिल्ली, लाइक आई एम द किंग ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, अरे मेरे सामने पूरा रास्ता खाली कर दो, आई एम द ओनर ऑफ थार, राइट, कुछ भी करते हैं लोग, राइट. बट उसी थार में पीछे अगर ठीक वहां का एमएलए बैठा हो, then who is actually the ruling the thar, who is instructing the thar or the driver where to go? Is that driver who is in charge of that particular vehicle? Who is that? MLA, right? So the same way in this body, right, along with the soul which runs the soul, or it thinks that it runs the soul, there is something else who is sitting behind, which soul does not realize. But it's that person who runs the soul in reality. Right. That is Paramatma. Right. So soul and super soul, what we call. Paramatma is nothing but super soul. So that super soul is something which runs the soul. But most of the time, when we are like people like us who are ignorant, we don't realize that it's that person who is running the soul. आप ऐसे समझो कि आपकी कार में भूत बैठा है, राइट, आपको लगता है कार आप चला रहे हो, भूत आपका हाथ थोड़ा थोड़ा घुमा दे रहा है, तो आप यार पता नहीं कुछ तो हो रहा है आज, लेकिन चला तो मैं ही रहा हूँ, लेकिन कार तो कहीं और ही जा रही है, राइट. तो अगर हमको रियलाइज हो जाएगा, when we realize at that point कि there is something else which is running the soul, that is our knowledge, real knowledge, right? When we know that there is someone else who is running the whole show, and not in our only our body, but all across the body, every single jiva, right? It's a Paramatma who runs the show. So Paramatma lives inside the body and in the atom, while as a God, he pervades everywhere. Right. So that's what this particular Upanishad says that. Sorry.
So, like, it has like so much power, like अपने body पे पूरा control कर रहे हैं, functions, right? मतलब जैसे picture में मतलब yeah, this light like this. Maybe not in the true sense, like, but when so it's a body or like when it enters a new body, right? Like, agree that yes, it is hard to even probably see, मतलब I can't even हम sense नहीं करते हैं.
प्रभु जी, imagine तक नहीं कर पाते soul का size. How do you think you will sense it? Can you sense an atom is hitting my hand right now? No. Atom is 1,000 times bigger than the soul. You are not even able to sense that. How can you sense the soul? Think that way. It's so minute. So there is a myth, actually very famous myth. कि एक एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ था, एक साइंटिस्ट ने बंद कर दिया एक बॉडी में किसी एक क्या कहते हैं ग्लास उसमें किसी बॉडी को, एंड देन व्हेन द पर्सन डाइड, राइट, शीशा फूट गया और उसका वेट 300 ग्राम कम हो गया. हैज एनीवन हर्ड दैट? Right, everyone would have heard that. That's actually myth. Soul is that small, it is that small that you cannot measure that. Forget 300 grams. Right, 300 ग्राम कम नहीं होने वाला है. Right, it's just nothing but एक होता है legend से it's a legend only. But ऐसा होता नहीं है. ठीक, और I don't think कि कोई भी ready होगा एक fully vacuum chamber में बंद होने के लिए. वो तो बंद होते पहले मर जाएगा. जब तक आप बंद करोगे he'll be gone. Right, so soul is that minute. Right. So that's why you don't feel it, you don't sense it. Because it's that minute. Right. The size is, we'll see in the next verse what I'm talking about. Right. But yeah, that is the answer. Any question? Yes, it does, it does. You are saying it can goes through the molecular spaces. Forget about that. It is part of every single molecule. Not molecule, it is part of every single atom. And I will go even lesser. It is part of, अभी तो सबसे छोटा क्या है? We can call boson or quarks. Bosons, right? So think that it is even part of every single bosons or quarks also. So if it is part of the smallest entity you can think of, right? Because God is everywhere. That's how it pervades. Or very important point. This is for us. Sometimes we feel that that's how God knows everything. वैसे कैसे भगवान को पता चल जाएगा? Because He is living in our heart as a super soul, right? So Bhagavad Gita 18.61 Lord says that Ishwaram sarvabhutanam हृदय से अर्जुन तिष्ठति ब्रह्मयन सर्वभूतानि यंत्रारूढ़ानि मायया. So this picture is very interesting picture. So what does Bhagavad Gita says that our body is nothing like a machine. तो आप ये सोचिए रोबोट का कॉन्सेप्ट तब भी था. Our scriptures are that advanced. मतलब ये पिक्चर नहीं होगी बट रोबोट ऐसे. It's like a यंत्र. It's like a equipment. ठीक? In that equipment there is a soul. This guy who thinks he's running the show, driving that particular yantra. But there is someone behind him as a Paramatma who is actually running the show, but he does not realize it. So Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy. And this body is made of bhautik sharir, material energy. Right. Now, how can, like you can say that why we don't understand that? Why soul does not understand this thing? Right. If soul is the part and parcel of God, it knows things, even though it forgot. It's a superior energy. Why it does not understand that thing? So very interesting story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Krishna Leela. Right. Brahma Mohan Leela. If anyone in Little Krishna, they might be very well versed of this story. So in that Brahmaji, what is he does? You see the picture behind, right? So Krishna was eating with his friends. Right. I'll go a little faster because we narrated this story at least a couple of times, but there are new people, so I'll narrate again. So Krishna was eating with his friend, and he was eating. Everyone was offering him prasad. They were even eating. Their जैसे बटर मिल्क है, बटर मिल्क पी रहे थे, हाँ टेस्टी है, कृष्णा ये लो, अपने मुंह से निकाल के दे रहे, कृष्णा वाज ड्रिंकिंग दैट. सो लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा वाज सीइंग दैट एंड ही वाज हियरिंग कि एक बच्चा है वृंदावन में, एंड ही इज डूइंग ऑल काइंड ऑफ माया वाली, मतलब ऑल काइंड ऑफ मैजिकल थिंग्स, मिरेकल्स, राइट. देन ही सेड लेट मी गो एंड चेक हु इज दैट बॉय, राइट. एंड ही गोज एंड ही सीज ये बच्चा ऐसे ही दूसरे के मुंह से खा रहा है, ये अपना दूसरे को दे रहा है, ये इट कैन नॉट बी गॉड. एंड ही सेड दैट नो. Right. So let me try to find out what. So what he does on a day when everyone was like, Krishna was out and he was taking the cows along with his friend. So he went somewhere and he kidnaps, Brahmaji kidnaps all his friends. And he kidnaps and put them in Yog Nidra. They all slept on Brahmalok. And then what he did, he just took them away. And then he said, let's see, अब ये बच्चा क्या करता है, ठीक है, मतलब he can do small miracles. Let me see what he does now. So when Krishna comes and he sees all his friends are gone, he realizes what happened. Krishna is all knowing. So what he does, he expanded himself into all his friends, all the cows. Not only his friend, even the cows are also kidnapped. All the cows, the bachde, सब कुछ kidnap हो गए थे. He expanded himself into all cows, gopas, ठीक, बछड़े सब कुछ expand करके then he took their form. Now after evening, they all went to their home, and the mothers started feeling somehow we are loving them more. They are more lovelier than usual, right? And this goes on for 1 year. So after 1 year passed, Brahma saying, "Let's see क्या हो क्या रहा है. 1 साल हो गया कुछ हुआ नहीं. ठीक है अभी तक तो मतलब something should have come up. Let me go and see." So he comes down and sees that कि सभी लोग खेल रहे हैं. सारे के सारे बच्चे हैं. देखा मैंने तो इनको ऊपर छोड़ के आया था. फिर he goes check की हाँ they are still sleeping. Who are these people? Then he realizes कि it's Krishna, it's God himself who does it. Then he comes and he started speaking. He started apologizing from Krishna. And around all you see, they're all Brahmas from all the universes, right? So there are not just one Brahma. There's not just one Vishnu also, right? Maybe someday I'll discuss that more with you. We have discussed in the class, right? Every universe has a Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and on from the level of that Vishnu comes Brahma. So every universe has the Brahma who actually does the creation on behalf of Vishnu, right? And on the top of that, all the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, there is a Karudodakshay Vishnu, from whose roams all the universe gets created in the form of an egg. Right. So the multiverse theory, what scientists are trying to find out, that is also mentioned in our Shastra from thousands of years. Right. Coming to the point. So these all Brahmas from all the universes also came. Some Brahma had one head, some Brahma had two heads, some Brahma had 10, some Brahma had even million heads. Right. How? Why Brahma would be having said that many heads? Because if the universe is big, our universe is of some size, there are even way bigger universes in the world. If the universe is that big, to process that universe, the Brahma will have more heads so that he can process all the universes. Like, how can we understand? A classic example, हमारी लाइफ से लैपटॉप ठीक पहले एक लैपटॉप आता था एचसीएल का या जो भी 1 GB आता था आजकल 1 GB तो मिलेगा ही नहीं इवन 4 GB नो वन टेक्स right take example of servers more data you need to process the more server you need AI more middle layer I don't know what it's called cortex क्या कहते हैं उसको किसी ने AI कोर्स नहीं किया क्या अपनी कंपनी में ओके जल्दी करना पड़ेगा राइट right so in AI it is a layers right as many layers you have the faster the AI would be the more complex more complex calculation it can does in a short amount of time हाँ न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स एग्जैक्टली हाँ वो कॉर्टेक्स में बोल रहा था आई थिंक ज्यादा बायोलॉजिकल हो गया न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स राइट सो दैट न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स so that those are the classic examples so Brahma as many heads it will have the bigger the universe would be so he says that Krishna at that point he says that even the most advanced Brahma having millions of it cannot understand a fragment of me. Who are you to understand me? You think that you could not understand me and you can understand me that I am Lord, I cannot do these kind of things. He said that you are a tiny part, but in comparison, you are just a tiny Brahma. There are million more times advanced Brahma than you, and even they cannot understand a fragment of me. Right? That's what Lord tells to Brahma that time. Right? So, if we are trying to understand that we can understand soul and super soul and this and that, forget it. Right? Even Brahma cannot understand. But कि कैसे होता है कहाँ रहता है कहाँ पे रहता है क्या वो है yes whatever our shastra says only we can repeat those words we cannot really understand that because those shastras are written by our acharyas our sadhus our rishis muni right that's how we can only understand हाँ प्रभु जी आपने क्या
Sir, Brahma ji was born from Nadi. He can't understand from the.
that's the eighth point if he cannot understand who are we to think that we can understand God so people come and show me God I want to understand God you are not even qualified forget right understand God मतलब हम तो इतने भी क्वालिफाइड नहीं है कि हम भगवान का नाम भी अच्छे से ले सकें बट वी ट्राई वी प्रैक्टिस ठीक है कभी तो शायद वो maybe after years, billions of life, कभी तो शायद वो qualification आ जाए कि we can tell the Maha Mantra uh, with at least a little better qualification. We can say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right. We just try to do that, but we are not even qualified to even take the name of Lord. But forget about understanding from Lord. Right. So going further, in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains this very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such spiritual spark is spread all over the body, as the influence of the active principle of some medicine is spread throughout the body. He takes again one more example of medicine. Our medicine khato is just a medicine, right? A small tablet. But when it goes inside the body, blood takes to all over the body. Even if I'm having pain in my finger, I don't put medicine in the finger. लो एक पैरासीटामोल यहाँ थोड़ा कट करते हैं घुसा देते हैं. We don't do that. We eat from the mouth, it goes into stomach, it disintegrates into the paracetamol molecule and it goes to hand by the heart through the blood, through the heart by the blood to that blood. Same way, the consciousness is spread all over the body. Same example, like we saw in the example of sun and battery. Right. So soul and super soul we already explained. In Bhagavad Gita in 2.22, it will come maybe next next or maybe after 2-3 lecture. Right. Although the two birds are on the same tree, how it is described that soul and super soul. Although the two birds are on the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroness of the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or the other he turns his face to his friend, who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once all the suffering of the bird becomes free. He will be free from all the anxieties. So what happens in this picture also you see the same thing. The driver is just watching आगे और एक screen है उसमें देख रहा है हाँ चल रहा है. He is not seeing back. And we discussed that, and even our Acharya says that this is the problem of our life. This is the cause of all the suffering. We don't understand that there is a Lord. We don't understand that there is someone else who's driving this. There's someone else who's the ruler of everything. Right? And we put our face away from that person, from the Supreme Lord. Right? And that is causes all the problem. But if in any way, so one bird is there, this bird, both birds are sitting on the tree. One bird you can see it's active, another bird is just watching. Right. So this bird is like going, flying, see, eating the fruits, the berries, right, and enjoying the life like we do. Right. Eat, sleep, reproduce, and defend. That's what we do. Ahar, nidra, bhai, maithun. That's all we do, right? हम एंजॉय करते हैं जैसे बर्ड एंजॉय कर रही है कूदती है खा रही है पी रही है फिर सोएगी फिर से उठेगी देन अगेन द सेम लाइफ cycle starts. What we don't realize there is a bird which is watching. So the bird as a Paramatma inside our heart that is watching everything what we do. And because we have turned our face from that bird, from that super soul, this is causing all the problem in our life. This is the only cause of every single anxiety, every single problem we have in our life. That is what Bhagavad Gita, that is what Lord Krishna says that. It's not something which I am making up or some Acharya made up. This is what Lord Krishna says that. Right. So this is a very important point to understand. So in Mukund Upanishad, the same thing comes about the soul of size. So we'll skip that. Not important. Right. So Srila Prabhupada further explains in his purport, the influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over the particular body according to the Mundaka Upanishad. So this is the verse actually, but I'll explain this here. That the atomic soul is situated in the heart of the living entity. We already discussed, right? The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus the energies of the bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. Right. Srila Prabhupada also writes the same thing. And it says that further, the corpuscles, the red blood cells, right, which carries the oxygen from the lungs, gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Right. So what does happen? What happens here? blood कैसे carry करता है consciousness, right? We came to know, like now we know source of the consciousness is the soul, right? And how does it do? Like it's situated in the heart, it pumps the blood, blood carries the consciousness all across the body, right? Now even more detail it is through the red blood cells it does, right? And what does red blood cell carries? Oxygen, right? That's what it carries, ठीक? और ऑक्सीजन क्या है? It's very important part of, we have heard about प्राण, प्राण उड़ गए, मतलब जनरल टर्म में हम कहते हैं प्राण पखेरु उड़ गए, तो ऐसा समझ में आता है कि जनरली इट मींस सोल. इट डज नॉट एक्चुअली मीन सोल. अकॉर्डिंग टू आयुर्वेदा प्राण इज इवन बिगर, नॉट बिगर, मतलब प्राण इज even grosser thing, not that minute. So pran is a part of one of the five vayus which we have in our body. So five vayus which we have. First is udan, which takes care of the from neck to head, all those parts. So whatever vayu is spread across, that is called udan. Then vayan, which is going to all over the body, right? So udan does, it moves the energy. So it is responsible for speech, memory, balance, mental strength, intelligence. That is everything related to nervous system, that it does majorly. Vayan, what it does, it takes care of the circulatory system, so the blood part, right, all across the body. Then there is a apan. Apan is below your pelvis. It takes care of the vayu which takes care of your below limb, right? Your limb below your waist, right? It takes care of that, and that is responsible for your excretion and also for reproduction, right? Then there is a saman. Saman is your abdomen, right, which takes care of your digestion and all related activities. And then there is a pran, which is in the chest. The pran is the chest vayu. It's the one of the vayu, not really soul. So pran not equal to soul. That's a misconception, right? Which takes care of the respiratory system. So this oxygen is carried by this particular pran, right? And that's what Srila Prabhupada explains here. He even minute detail ki how this consciousness is carries all across the body. So when you actually put a band on your hand or you stop a blood supply, it just does not stop your blood. Via blood, it actually stop your oxygen, the pran. Right? The pran stops, consciousness stops. Right? So that's how you can understand. Yeah. Not very important, but yes. I know इसका ही सबसे ज़्यादा लोगों ने फोटो लिया, but does not matter. So when you go, when we see कि chakra को हम, we have heard, right, कि through meditation practices a lot of chakra can be activated. These chakra are nothing but these pran vayus. One by one you activate these chakras, and that's why Ayurveda says that कि when we eat, I am not able to follow that, but when we eat, one half of the part of our food should be, yeah, solid, not liquid. One fourth of that should be liquid, and then one fourth air. मतलब कोई तो स्वीट बोलेगा, नहीं किसे नहीं बोला, ठीक है. Everyone is like not hungry. Okay, think so that is air, because that air takes care of digestion. Right. This that air is saman air. So going further, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada further explains that such atomic particle of the spirit who are compared to the sunshine molecule. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. So the same example he gives. Sunshine ko मतलब बोलते प्रभा in Sanskrit. So like sunshine, sun is situated in one place in the solar system, but it takes its energy through the sunshine everywhere. Same way, the soul also takes consciousness all across the body. The same thing is mentioned here. Right. So any question? So in next verse, so Lord will explain about the soul even more, right? More properties of it. So repeat after me. Antavant ime deha nityasya sharirina anasino apraveyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata antavant ime deha नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः अनाशिनो अप्रमेयस्य तस्मात् युद्धस्य भारत. So translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Now, very interesting way of writing this, right? The material body of this indestructible. So there are three qualities which are mentioned here. Nitya, right? You can see here. Nitya Syukta Sarina, Anasino, and Aprameyasya. Right? So Nitya matlab eternal. We heard the verse, na? Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bhavanam. Right, that. So Nitya means eternal. Anasino, which cannot be destroyed, indestructible. And Apremeyasya means immeasurable. Those are the qualities of the soul. Right? Now, Antavant means it will come to an end. Right? Now, very interesting way of saying that the material body of the all the qualities entity is sure to come to an end. Right? So, what does that mean? What do you understand by this? What Srila Prabhupada or what Lord Krishna is talking about here? About what?
Translation is saying like material body of the industrial.
That is my question. What your Lord Krishna is talking about? You are at the point. That's my question. आप उसको एक अलग तरीके से पूछ रहे हैं. क्या क्या आपको लगता है कि क्या बात हो रही है यहाँ पे? There is no end to the soul. It's all the qualities of soul. Indestructible, invisible and eternal. Right. But ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम मटेरियल बॉडी की बात हो रही है. Right? क्योंकि लिखा तो ऐसा ही है. तो that brings us to that question. Whose body is that? ओके आप थोड़ा और हाई लेवल पे पहुंच गए हो बट थोड़ा और कम पे आ जाओ किसकी बॉडी है ये व्हेन वी से माय बॉडी व्हाट डू वी मीन किसकी बॉडी अभिषेक शुक्ला की बॉडी या संजीव प्रभु की बॉडी किसकी बॉडी soul की body exactly this body is of the soul so this is the way it's written the material body of something which is indestructible something which is immeasurable and something which is eternal is sure come to an end it is being talked about the body but with respect to the soul body of whose soul the soul का ये जो covering है that is certainly going to end that's what it says there it is again talking about soul only. It's not really talking about the body. But it says that the body of the soul is anyway going to an end. That's why Arjuna, go ahead and fight. Right now we'll understand that in detail. कि when we say this body is mine, what do we really mean? Mine मतलब क्या? ये एक पर्सन जो आईबीएम में काम करता है ये उसकी बॉडी है no, it means that it is our soul's body. Anything we say my hand, my eye, my this, right? That means with respect to our soul. So if someone says that my soul, that is actually a wrong term because there is no my. Who's my? अगर हम कहते हैं मेरा घर है तो who is that person? एक fixed quantity होनी चाहिए ना. There should be a constant. So when we say anything mine, then there has to be something fixed. So that fixed thing is the soul. But when we say my soul, there is nothing which defines fixed behind the soul, at least at our level. If God says that my bodies or my souls, that makes sense. He is the owner of the soul. But when we say that, we are actually the soul. Right? There is nothing called my soul. So you can have everything mine, but you cannot have my soul thing. Right? So that's a wrong way of saying that. So body, so what Lord Krishna is trying to say that when we say it's mine, that means the body is of the soul. And more importantly, he's trying to say that this body is not important. It's not really important. Because soul is something which is eternal, indestructible, and immeasurable. And body is anyway going to end. That's how he actually put his logic. Arjun, right, ठीक है हम उस पे आएंगे बाद में. Like, how does this verse help Arjuna? Right. So, how does this verse help Arjuna? That he was in a battlefield. Correct. और battlefield पे आप किससे मारते हो लोगों को? वेपन्स, एनिमल से मारते हो. एक गाय चला के मारता हूँ तुम्हें, ऐसा थोड़े होता है. आज एक डायनासोर फेंक के मारूंगा तुम्हें विथ वेपन्स. बट अभी हमने हमने पिछले वर्ष में क्या डिस्कस किया? क्या डिस्कस किया? वेपन को कनेक्ट करिए आप उससे. बहुत देर तक हमने वही डिस्कस किया था. हाँ नहीं मतलब आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट वेपन. और आपने तो ठीक है साइज. अभी हमने डिस्कस किया साइज. कैन यू यूज मटेरियल वेपन टू किल द सोल? इट इज दैट माइन्यूट, राइट? इट इज दैट स्मॉल कि हम इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते. हाउ कैन यू यूज एनी वेपन टू किल द इवन फॉरगेट वेपन. कल को कोई मुझसे आके कहे कि आई विल थ्रो द रेडियो एक्टिव और मे बी नॉट रेडियो एक्टिव, ठीक है, आई विल थ्रो द microwave or some kind of waves. Even soul is that minute, your wave will cross over the soul. The soul itself will not kill that. Right. So you cannot use any material things to kill the soul. Because soul is eternal, first of all. Right. And second thing, your material things are gross. You can see, you can feel. At nano level also you can see by electron microscope. Right. So you cannot use any of the material thing to kill the soul. Actually, no one can kill the soul. Right? That's eternal. So first of all this, but at least material, I mean, if someone says that I killed the soul, no, you cannot. Right? Not possible. Right? So that's what our Lord says that uh, you are in the battlefield, okay, and people are fighting here by weapons. So soul to anyway by these weapons cannot be killed. Even if you don't worry about eternity or something, soul anyway cannot be killed. Because everyone is fighting by material weapon. So soul is eternal and body is anyway going to destroy. So why are you worried? एक चार्ट याद है किसी को, किसी ने देखा होगा. Can you do something about it? Yes या no? If yes, ठीक है, then why you worry? If no, then why you worry? So it's the same thing. A problem है life में. If we can do something about it, then we don't have to worry. We can do something. If we cannot do something about it, then we don't have to worry क्योंकि वैसे भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते. तो यहाँ पे मरने वाली या खत्म होने वाली तो बॉडी है. बॉडी को तो एनीवे खत्म होना है, राइट? और सोल तो एनीवे वो खत्म नहीं होगा. Then he is asking Arjuna, then why do you worry? Go ahead and fight. Because if you do not kill, they are anyway going to be killed. Further on, Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that you don't think that you are going to kill them. They are already killed. I have already killed them. Think. Now you are just being a nimitta for me. Like I have already decided they are going to be killed. That means no one can, कोई उसको हिला भी नहीं सकता है. Right. तो उनका मरना तो निश्चित ही है. मतलब they are already killed. तो फिर भगवान अपना विराट रूप दिखाते हुए उनके मुंह में अर्जुन sees that कि सारे कौरव जा रहे हैं, भगवान उनको चबा रहे हैं. Quite graphic हो गया. But that's how it was. और अर्जुन actually when he sees that he gets so scared, he said भगवान अपने रूप में आ जाओ. That's it. I cannot see that. Right. So he tells that they are already killed. You don't worry about it. So you go ahead and just fight because this is my instruction. Right. So that's how this verse helped Arjuna. And that's how this verse will help us also. Right. Ki a lot of time in our life we actually worry about, obviously, but this is natural. Ki when we lose our dear ones, someone dear, like someone related, we feel a lot of dejected, we feel a lot जैसे आपके घर में कोई मम्मी पापा भाई जो भी, someone who is not well at this, someone who has passed away, right? We feel a lot of pain and this and that. But this verse actually, yes, it's not like your pain would become zero, but what Krishna says that there is no real death, right? It's not something with that they have died. It's something they have just changed the clothes. They are going to anyway get the new life. So there's a very interesting story around it that it's a real story. I read in one of the from this call. Um, actually in Sikandrabad temple there's a president such, उनका नाम भूल गया, ठीक है. हाँ मतलब हमारे हैदराबाद के टेम्पल प्रेसिडेंट है, तो ही रन्स अ यूट्यूब चैनल। ठीक, उसमें ही टेल्स द रियल स्टोरीज of how people's life actually got changed from Krishna consciousness. So it tells that there was a rich person and he was a CFO, the CEO of a company, well, owner of a company actually. Right. His wife died. His son died actually. Wife ran away. His wife died. Son ran away. Right. Daughter-in-law also. They both, uh, uh, like all ran away. Then company started going into decline. So he was like so much dejected. Like this life is not worth living for. Right. He was going to do suicide. For some reason, it came to his mind. Let me read the Bible. He was not Indian. He was Christian. So he was searching for Bible, but few days back story, someone who gave him Bhagavad Gita. So usko Bible to nahi mili, but he got Bhagavad Gita, and by chance he opened the page where this concept was mentioned about the soul, how soul never gets destructed. Maybe this verse itself. He read that and he actually lost the idea of doing suicide and he started reading that. 3 दिन तक उसने पढ़ा ही वो लगातार पढ़ा, and then he became a great devotee. That's how actually it can cope us. Right. Otherwise, we'll always feel like very much dejected. We'll always feel too much sad and in sorrow and all those kind of emotions. Right. But we know that it's not the soul. It's not. It's just the body which is destroyed. Right. It's not like we'll not have pain. If we are losing someone, obviously we'll have pain. But then that's not the end of it. Right. That's what this we can take the lesson from the words. Right. Any question? So now very important thing. Now interesting thing. In last verse, what we discussed? Here's a my question. Size of the soul, right? And what does this say? अप्रमेय से, immeasurable. अभी तो हम यहाँ साइज बता रहे थे और अभी हम बोल रहे हैं कि immeasurable है. How can you justify that? Okay. कि material thing से हम नहीं कर सकते. Okay. और
describe there is no units of living.
that's what it is, right? So like this is the verse where we discuss about all the sizes. So it's not like we actually someone actually went and measured it. It is the people like जो बहुत ज्ञानी होता है, तुम मुझे बताओ सोल कितना बड़ा होता है. ठीक, तो someone actually some recipe describe it's that small, you do this much, and that size what you are coming up, that is really soul. And you cannot really measure by our material things. So both of you are correct. Right? It cannot be measured. So when we say immeasurable, that means that by material means it cannot be measured. Right. And then how we can say that it's truth? If it cannot be measured, no one has measured it. So how we can say that it's truth? Because now again, a repeat of our discover yourself session. There are 3 types of Praman. Praman means evidences, right? Which gives you knowledge. There are 3 types. There are 3 ways which we can gain knowledge from. One is प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण, जो हमें दिखता है, वो हम मानते हैं. Right? What we see, that's the truth. Now we see we are driving on the road, hot summers, right? आप जा रहे हो, तुम जब कहाँ रहते हो? मणिकोटा. प्रभु जी मणिकोटा जा रहे, बढ़िया समर है, रोड खाली है. प्रभु जी देख रहे हैं सड़क के आगे पानी है. You see that, right? Viraj. Is that really water? So प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण is like that. You see optical illusion, Facebook पे बहुत आता होगा. I don't use anymore, but हाँ आता था जब मैं यूज करता था. Optical illusion this and that. ऐसे देख रहे हो और ऐसा लगता है वो घूम रहा है. It's not. So what does it say that? कि what we see may not be true. That cannot be true. Then second is अनुमान प्रमाण. मुझे लगता है शायद ऐसा होगा. ठीक. बहुत लोग कहते हैं मुझे तो लगता है भगवान ऐसे है. ठीक. दूसरे आके कहते नहीं नहीं मुझे लगता है भगवान ऐसे है. जैसे एक एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट स्टोरी कि 6 people went to see an elephant, 6 blind people. एक ने बोला elephant is like a rope, एक ने बोला elephant is like a cylinder, एक ने बोला elephant is like what? Like a drum. Everyone has their like whatever, right? Everyone has a different conception of that, right? So Anuman Praman cannot be true because anyone can think of anything, right? what is one base of it? You are saying God is like that. मुझे तो पता है God तो नीले कलर के होते हैं. नहीं नहीं, मुझे पता है कृष्णा ब्लू कलर के थे, ग्रीन कलर के थे. आप कहोगे नहीं, मैंने सपने में देखा था, मेरे सपने में कल ही कृष्णा आए थे and he was of yellow color. How can you say that? So anyone can assume anything. Actually, our theory of evolution is also an assumption. If you don't know, just an anecdote. Where Charles Darwin actually he observed a lot of things and then he assumed that this is what I think is the most possible way to explain the evolution. Evolution is not something. I am from biology background. Uh, I'm telling you my story. Like I'm the one who actually used to fight with Megha, my wife, when I was in atheistic zone. कि नहीं नहीं ऐसे कैसे कर सकते, इतने एविडेंस है, ये वो ठीक है. But then when actually after hearing this session I read, and this is nothing but assumption. Charles Darwin actually put assumption. After 20 years of research, he put that this is the most possible way to explain that how evolution happened. But again, it's not foolproof. Same thing with Big Bang theory. These are all assumptions. How can Big Bang, by definition, it says that there's a dot which in infinite is, infinitely it carries the gravity. It is that's why it is dense. How can there can be a dot जिसमें infinite हम imagine भी नहीं कर सकते? Then how can we define that? Can in reality there can be something which is infinite? No way. Right. So this is just a theory. And if you are a science enthusiast, in last few years or last few months you would have seen there are now new theories are coming up which says that Big Bang was, it's not a correct theory. It does not explain the evolution of the universe or creation of the universe. There are a lot of new theories are coming up, which includes the bosons. Right. So Anuman Praman also cannot be taken as truth. Now, what can be taken as truth? The third way to understand the knowledge is Sabda Praman. When we were a small kid, we were told 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. और थोड़े बड़े हुए तो M is equal to MA. हमने कभी बोला क्या? No sir, हम ऐसा नहीं मानेंगे. हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करेंगे 20 years और फिर if we will able to prove that F is equal to MA or gravity is 9.8 होती, then only we will accept. Otherwise we are not going to accept. हमारी बुक में लिखा था चुपचाप, एग्जाम में लिखना था, नंबर लाना था. It's written, someone has done it on our behalf. Fine, I agree. ठीक, 9.8, 9.8. Even if we are doing experiment, it's coming 9.6, we'll change it to 9.8. We do that, right? किया है, सबने स्कूल में किया होगा. Right, but हम हमेशा करेक्ट करते थे. Because we believe the words of authority. When the father or mother says that कि बेटा बाएं चप्पल में बाएं पैर में बाएं चप्पल पहनना है, दाएं पैर में दाएं चप्पल पहनना है, we don't question it. Okay, हमें तो नहीं, ऐसे कैसे आप बोल रहे हो? But later on when we advance, when we actually grow in concept, we realize that हाँ, अगर हम उल्टा पहनते तो वो हमें actually problem होती. When we were walking, we would have certainly fell down. Right. So if there is an authority, we accept their words as it is. Lord is the authority. Our Rishi Munis, our Acharyas are the authority. Because they have realized it, that this is the truth. That reality we have to accept as is. That's where the Sapta Praman. And who says that about the soul? Krishna himself says that. Right, Krishna himself says that about the soul, that it cannot be immeasurable. In the verse itself is that. Aprameyasya. It is immeasurable. So we don't have to think anything else. Experiment करने की जरूरत नहीं है. We don't have to question it or put argument, do 20 years of experiment और 10 साल में मर गए तो maybe take next life to do experiment again. Right. Because it's already proved. It's told by the Lord himself. I take as is. There cannot be bigger proof than that. Right. So that's one way to understand Abrahmiyasya. All right. So now another question comes: why is this body given to the soul? We'll take just 5 more minutes. Why do you think the body is given to the soul? We're talking about the soul, consciousness, body. Why is this body for? क्या रीजन? पहले कुछ तो बताइए. मतलब आप एंजॉयमेंट के लिए बता सकते हो, क्रिकेट खेलने के लिए, बैडमिंटन खेलने के लिए, सोने खाने के लिए. हाँ, experience to to experience the material world, right? To do experiment. सब साइंटिस्ट नहीं बनेंगे, right? But in a way, you are right. This body is actually given to us for exploration. Experiment does not mean just scientific experiment. It also means the exploration, why we are here, the purpose of life. And that's also. So you can use a body for two things. Either for this, have a big uh, party in a plane, yes, with all whatever you can think of. Okay. Intoxicants, शराब and सबab, सब कुछ है ठीक और मतलब all either you can enjoy your life like that or you can use this same body for liberation. The choice is ours. जैसे कौन सी मूवी है अ, कौन सी मूवी आती है एक इंग्लिश मूवी है जिसमें वो बोलता है द चॉइस इज योर्स कोई तो है ये तो हॉरर मूवी है मैं भूल गया उसका नाम उसमें ऐसे एक मास्क रहता है और उसके बीच में एक स्पाइरल रहता है एंड it gives two choices to anyone who who is given challenge वो बोलता है you do this or this the choice is yours तो उसकी सिचुएशन में चलती इधर कुआं आगे कुआं पीछे खाई तो the body is given for us for reason either we can use it for the liberation or we can use it for the material enjoyment if we use it for the liberation we don't need to get another body we'll break the cycles we'll go to the Lord himself if we'll use for material enjoyment we'll keep on coming again and again for the millions of years. Who knows? Right. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his quote uh, see, that the material body is perishable. This one is done. The spirit soul is so minute it cannot be even seen by an enemy to say it being killed. And this all we have, yes. The minute particle of the Holy Spirit acquires the material body according to his work. Right. We discussed why how we get the body. Right. And therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. Now how we can get the liberation? Actually, for doing the material enjoyment also we have to do karma. Right. Something we have to do. सोए तो वो भी नहीं होगा. Right. उसमें भी हम पक जाएंगे अगर सोते रहेंगे. तो the only way to do liberation is to follow the religious principle, dharma. Otherwise, there is no way that we can become liberated. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. If it does not mean that God is light, first of all, disclaimer, right? It is just an analogy, right? If God is think something as a light, then a part of parcel of light is also light. So as soon as the spirit soul is out of the material body, the body begins to decompose, and therefore it is the spirit soul which maintains the body. Okay. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and not sacrifice the cause of religion for the material and bodily considerations. Right. So, because this body is given to follow and to apply the religious principles, that is to do the dharma, and that is the only way to get liberation. So, Lord here also is saying that being a Kshatri, what is Arjuna's dharma? To fight. Right? There is no other dharma for him. It's not his dharma to become compassionate for his guru, for his relatives, and all those things. He is a Kshatri, he is in the battlefield for a reason. He came here to fight. His dharma is to fight. So, Lord is saying, you don't think of anything else. Right? He gives all the reasons, and then he tries to he convinces the Arjuna that your enemies, which are nothing but the soul, are anyway going to be finished. Their body is anyway going to die, and their soul is eternal. Right? So you go ahead and kill them. Right? That is your responsibility as a Kshatriya. Because if you don't do this, that means what you are doing? Yeah. Forgetting the dharma. We are doing a dharma. Right? So that is the conclusion of this verse. That neither the jiva nor his body is any worth of lamentation. Right? Because now why jiva is not worthy of lamentation? We talked about the body anyway is going to destroy. Then why the jiva is not worthy of any lamentation? Shouldn't we worry about the jiva, or we be sad for the jiva? Hmm? They will get a human body or which body, that is again all depends on their karma, their consciousness. Right. But because one thing they are eternal, another thing we cannot do anything what they are going to do, get next. That is not in our hand. That is in their hand. That's why we are conscious. But it's the super conscious which decides what the body, what the soul is going to get next. Right? So we don't have to lament for them. And soul never dies, body is always perishable. So these are the conclusion of the verse. Now, what we have to understand, this is the all the takeaway. If we have to take, if we have to have one takeaway from this session, then this is the thing. Right? We are not this body, but the spirit soul. And this realization, we have to have the realization by any way, by any means. Right? And how we can get the realization? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So, any question? वायु अपनी देखिए, माता जी ऐसा आप समझिए कि सोल है जो ड्राइव कर रही है, एक जैसे बैटरी है लैपटॉप है, ठीक। अब ये लैपटॉप का ये जो चार्जिंग पॉइंट है, उससे सारा लैपटॉप चल रहा है, राइट। अंदर क्या चल रहा है, उसका सीपीयू भी चल रहा है, ठीक। उसमें जो डिस्क है, एसएसडी, वो भी घूम रही है, जो स्क्रीन है, एलईडी उसके पीछे, वो भी इल्यूमिनेट हो रहा है, एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग, राइट। वो सब कुछ इन बैकग्राउंड वो सब कुछ चल रहा है, राइट। नाउ अगर बैटरी खत्म हो जाए, व्हाट विल हैपन? बंद हो जाएगा सब कुछ, राइट। इट डज नॉट इट डज नॉट मीन दैट कि वो इंडिपेंडेंटली काम करेंगे, दीज ऑल पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंप्यूटर, इट विल नॉट वर्क इंडिपेंडेंटली, इट इज कनेक्टेड टू द सोल। सो वायु क्या होती है, वायु रुक जाएगी मतलब ऐसा नहीं है, बट देर इज नो वन विच इज गोइंग टू ड्राइव द वायु, राइट। तो आपका प्राण वायु, जो बाकी वायु है, वो खत्म हो जाएगी, देर इज नो ड्राइवर, मतलब उसका बैटरी सोर्स खत्म हो गया, दैट्स इट। हाँ, वो ठप हो जाएगी ऐसे, ऐसा नहीं कि वो धीरे 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 एक टाइम, हाँ वो भी हो सकता है, ठीक। हार्ट बंद होता है तो थोड़ा तो ब्लड आगे बढ़ेगा, मोमेंटम कैरीज ऑन, बट देन इवेंचुअली इट विल स्टॉप। इवन इट इज सेड दैट कि इवन पर्सन डाइज, बाल थोड़े दिन पड़ता है, एक कुछ घंटे इट ग्रोज, बट इवेंचुअली इट डाइज, क्योंकि दैट्स अ मोमेंटम, ठीक। अगर गाड़ी लड़ भी गई, गाड़ी गाड़ी का आपने इंजन बंद भी कर दिया, लेकिन आप न्यूट्रल पे, तो गाड़ी थोड़ी आगे बढ़ेगी, इट्स समथिंग लाइक दैट। तो वो रुक जाएगा, इवेंचुअली इट विल स्टॉप, बिकॉज देयर इज नो ड्राइवर फॉर दैट।
Times like some people will have their eyes open, they become more open with that, and then
So what does this signify?
does it feel like soul has left?
Actually, yes, that's what it, our Shastra says that. Ki soul leaves the body from one of the children, what we have, one of the holes which we have. Right, except the Siddha Purush, the sannyasis, ठीक, जो बहुत सिद्ध होते हैं, उनका soul, it goes from the brain, and they're actually the this is called ruptures, right? For all of us, it either leaves from nose, mouth, anus, any part of the whole, right? तो दैट ऑल्सो, मतलब उस पर भी एक डीप वो है कि इट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन किस टाइप का व्यक्ति था, कहाँ से उसका निकलेगा, ठीक। बट या वन ऑफ द लिव, सो किसी का मुंह खुला रहता है, किसी का आंख खुला रहती है, बिकॉज द सोल लिव्स फ्रॉम दैट पार्ट ऑफ। अब ये मत पूछे किसी का मुंह और आंख दोनों खुला है तो क्या, आई कांट आंसर दैट, सोल तो एक ही है।
It's often mentioned even the really great holy saints, right? When their disappearance happened, like they have gone to Vaikuntha, right? How is that established in the
हाउ इज दैट एस्टेब्लिश्ड? ये तो बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, मतलब ओके, There is actually Prabhuji no way to establish this. मतलब पहुंच जाएगा चेक करने का वैकुंठ गए तो वो वापस तो आने वाले नहीं. Right. In a way you can understand that. But how it can be established? Because a lot of time they take rebirth. जैसे तुलसीदास. How you know Tulsidas is considered rebirth of? Anyone knows? तुलसीदास को किनका अवतार माना जाता है? वाल्मीकि. ठीक, वाल्मीकि. तुलसीदास is said to be he's a rebirth of Valmiki. Right. So a lot of time Acharya comes and they describe like these souls who are associate of say Lord Ram, Lord Vishnu, or they were bhakt of Lord Krishna, right? They went there. But there is no actual way. But our Shastra says, our Acharya says, Sabd Praman is the only way which we can have, which we have to take. मतलब वरना ऐसा नहीं होगा, we are not qualified to go there and एक बार जाते चेक करके आते हैं. ठीक. We are not CBI or income tax officers to go there रेड मार के चेक करके आएंगे. ठीक. हमारा वो लेवल नहीं है. तो we just have to accept the world. सो उससे मुझे एक स्टोरी याद आ गई. समवन आज शिला प्रभुपाद कि शिला प्रभुपाद आप इतना करते रहते हो, कीर्तन करते हो, ये करते हो, भक्ति करते हो. If at the time of death you come to know that there is no Krishna, what would you do? ठीक. इतना लाइफ आपने पूरा लाइफ तो यही सब किया. ठीक. तो उसने कहा देखो, at the time of death, if I realize that after death that there is no Krishna, ठीक, then also I'll be happy. मैंने मस्त कीर्तन किया, मस्त प्रसादम खाया, नाचा गाया. ठीक. मतलब बाकी आम आदमी की तरह ये नहीं कंपनी में 9 to 6 या फिर 9 to 9, ठीक है, जॉब करके घिस के चापलूसी करके आगे बढ़ा. ये सब मुझे करने की जरूरत है. मतलब आई एक्चुअली लिव्ड माई लाइफ, आई एंजॉयड माई लाइफ. सो आई वुड बी हैप्पी दैट आई लव्ड माई लाइफ एंड आई एंजॉयड एट एवरी स्टेप. बट व्हाट वुड हैपन इफ यू कम टू नो दैट देयर इज कृष्णा आफ्टर योर डेथ? थिंक दैट केस. ठीक. मैंने तो मान लो नहीं हुए तो मैं तो मजे किया पूरी लाइफ. तुमको पता चला कि कृष्णा है, व्हाट वुड यू डू? यू थिंक दैट वे. राइट. दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस. राइट. तो हमें इससे कोई ज्यादा लेना देना नहीं कि कहाँ कौन जाके चेक करने वाला, नहीं पता है. बट व्हाट इफ थिंकिंग दैट कि कोई तो चेक करने वाला नहीं, तो व्हाई शुड वी डू? व्हाट इफ यू रियलाइज एट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ एक्चुअली हमें ही करना था, हमें बताया गया था, देन व्हाट वुड हैपन? ठीक. दैट इज द आंसर, राइट? यही हो. फिर हम यही आएंगे फिर से शायद. भगवान की कृपा रही तो एक और कोई और प्रभु जी होंगे या मेरा ही रिबर्थ होगा, मैं दूसरी क्लास ले रहा हूँ. Who knows? Right. Something like that happens. So any other question? नहीं? ठीक है, then we'll finish with this. वाचा कल्पवृक्षस्य कृपासिन्धुभ्यो पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो तो कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. निताई गौर प्रेम हरि बोल. हरे कृष्ण.